What is up? What is up? What is up, folks? We got some little bit of information, some news regarding the Labyrinth. If you guys don't know what the Labyrinth is, this used to be called Project D, which I made a video on. If you haven't checked it out, make sure you check it out. But it's this new big game mode that's coming to the game, and we are going to read this. We're going to talk about it, discuss it, analyze it. You know how it is, folks. You know how it is. Got to dive right in there. Welcome to this new devlog overflowing with spoilers about the Labyrinth. In it, we'll explain how this feature works in more detail. Let's go, and there it is. And obviously we know that the Labyrinth is tied to the stubby ops and that whole Mount Nesselite area. As you can see here, the giant gate in the back. If you missed the previous devlog, introduction to Labyrinth here. Which is this one here? Did I cover this one? I might have covered, I don't remember. We'll see. Introduction. In regard to communicating about the new feature, our plans have already evolved since it was announced last December. We initially weren't going to do so, or at least not this early, but today we're going to unveil most of the fundamental pillars of the Labyrinth construction. Our goal in doing so is to get your feedback as quickly as possible. I do like that. Though on one hand, I do think they're kind of set in their ways already. By the time it comes out, this would be 2 years into development, so it's kind of hard to pivot with any sort of major feedback, but I do appreciate how they're kind of open as much as they can, but I don't see them changing like fundamental aspects of it. Please keep in mind that the elements discussed in the devlog, as well as those in the previous and upcoming devlogs, are not final and could change between now and the release of the feature. The next devlogs will be equally interesting, with a bit more behind-the-scenes content and deeper coverage of certain key topics. All right, I like this. I like how they're kind of like alluding to like some mystery. It's this whole thing is just covered in mystery. Again, if you guys haven't seen my video on Project D, make sure you check that out because that was all mystery. That video was so fun to make. Labyrinth's backstory. The Labyrinth will be central to a new narrative arc that is important for the game. It isn't going to be dropped randomly into the world of the 12. We are working very hard to ensure this. There will even be transmedia content around the Labyrinth. Like I mentioned, the Labyrinth is kind of inside this Mount Nesselite area. And in the video, I talk about how when they did the update of Stubby Ops, that story arc kind of left people with a cliffhanger and they never follow up on it or anything until now. The whole mystery was like there's something like ominous behind this giant gate thing, which obviously because they never updated, they never made the continuation of the storyline. We never found out until now. Obviously, it's the Labyrinth that's behind those giant gates. Unfortunately, for most curious among you, fortunately, I think they mean fortunately, for the most curious among you, shout out to the Discord investigators, we can't say more about this yet, so we don't ruin the surprise. The most attentive among you have found and will continue to find hints as the months go on. So they still gotta do like this breadcrumbing, like little hints, little Easter eggs and stuff like that. I do like that. So keep an eye out for that. Keep an eye out for that. The backbone of the Labyrinth. As we said, the Labyrinth is heavily inspired by roguelite style games. So this is and they actually link to a wiki. So there's two versions of a rogue game. There's roguelikes, L-I-K-E, and roguelites, L-I-T-E. They're doing it with roguelite. The big difference is that one, roguelike, you always start from scratch. Regardless how far you get into the levels or the maze, labyrinth, what have you, if you die, you start from zero. Roguelites have a progression system where no matter how far you make it, the next time you start up the game, you have some progress saved. Whether that means equipment, items, or anything. There's a little extra boost that you carry over from the last playthrough. So that's the big difference between these two. And the Labyrinth is going to go more towards a roguelite, which is like some sort of progression is saved. All the same, we don't pretend to be making a completely separate game of it, able to compete with the master of the genre. The idea is simply to take inspiration from the genre and integrate it in a cohesive and effective way into DOFUS Touch universe. Good roguelites are defined by several important pillars, notably level design, exploration, runs, items, synergies, monster spells, consumables, secrets, replay value, etc. For the Labyrinth, we decided to emphasize some of these pillars in priority, specifically exploration, runs, and the player's impact on them, synergy. Among the various items you'll collect your runs and replay value. Alright. Typically, you shouldn't expect to meet monsters and keepers whose mechanics will take you hours or days of sweat and tears to understand. Like for Gus 3 dungeon back in the day, for example. That's still true to this day. I don't think they made those fights any easier, right? Maybe little tweaks in here and there, but you still have auto death there. Our main goal is above all to offer you an all new, original, and fun experience, and to do so while ensuring that it isn't any less rewarding at the same time. To this end, we will be very flexible with balancing this feature to allow for diverse situations. From one run to the next, you might very well end up as powerful as the god Yop or as weak as a little Gobbly, depending on your choices and your luck. Another thing, if you guys are not familiar with rogue type games, rogue games are very RNG dependent. That's part of the appeal, where like, because it is RNG heavy, things are going to play out differently each time you run through the levels. So keep that in mind. Now, roguelites are, it's a game of luck. For the most part, there is some skill involved, but the luck factor is what makes them roguelikes. Entering the Labyrinth. The entrance to the Labyrinth will be the mysterious and equally legendary door that has been located on Mountain Nesselite for several years at -24, -22. And this is something I cover in my Project D video as well. The Labyrinth dungeon will only be accessible for level 200 players. We'll talk about that a little bit more. The group search feature, will be available, and you'll also be able to use a hero or a sidekick there. Exploring with a single character will absolutely be possible, but obviously it will be more risky. I'm sure we're going to get some solo Tosh videos of people just running the stuff by themselves, which should be interesting. The equivalent of a key will be needed to undertake each run. Exploring the Labyrinth. The depths. The Labyrinth will contain many rooms to explore. They will be made up of different levels of procedurally generated depths. There, you'll discover diverse ambiances, bestiaries, and new monsters and keepers, some of whom will be introduced in an upcoming devlog. To help you navigate between the different depths and rooms, a new type of map will be available. You might have caught a glimpse of it before. Yeah, they did show this during the Ankama Show Time and the previous devlog as well. But here it is again for those of you who haven't. Yeah, the map looks very Zelda-ish, which I thought was kind of interesting. In all, you'll be able to visit a maximum of 6 depths per run. You won't necessarily encounter the same atmosphere and monsters from one to the next. You won't need to finish all the rooms to validate a depth, but each room could contain ways to get stronger and additional loot, so it'll be up to you to gauge each situation. So you could see like the loot here on the map. So say I would assume you start here. You go to this next room, you fight the mob, you go here, and it's like, oh, you got to choose between this resource or this resources, right? And then one might be a bigger risk, but a bigger payoff. The one might be the safer option, but it's not big of a payoff. So this is the type of choices you might be making in the Labyrinth. The deeper you go into the depths, the greater the rewards and the greater the difficulty. Just remember that dying in the labyrinth means the end of the run and the loss of all rewards accumulated up to that point during it. Vitality points lost in the labyrinth will not regenerate with the classic consumables in the game, nor with natural regeneration. Interesting. In the case of a run by, I would assume like one of the rewards would be like, oh, you get some health back, right? So that would be another decision you have to take into account. It's like if you come out of a room, right, and then it's like, oh, do I want to heal up in the next room, or do I want to collect more treasure? We'll risk it and collect more treasure, right? Super cool. In the case of a run by a party of 2 players or 2 characters, if one of them is killed during a fight, but the fight is won, let me reread that again. If one of them is killed during a fight, but the fight is won all the same, the character in question will reappear with 1 health point. In addition, erosion will be preserved between fights. Yeah, so this is definitely fights where you just got to be really careful with how you tackle and handle the rooms, because how you come out is how you're going to start the next fight. You'll therefore need to anticipate each of your moves cautiously and try to explore each depth, well, in depth, to find alternative solutions. Couple time. Up to 2 players can band together for the same run. In order to prevent certain abuses and prevent the 2 players from exploring the same depth separately, we have currently made the following decision. Whether one player changes rooms, the other will automatically be teleported to join them. We are aware that some players might deliberately bother others during the run in the case of random group allocations, but we are counting on the majority playing in good faith and communicating and coordinating with others as best as they can. This isn't always easy on mobile, particularly when you need to choose a direction every few minutes. In order to facilitate communication, an option wheel can be displayed and let your teammate know with 1 tap which direction you want to go in next. Okay, so it's super cool that they're thinking about this too. Note, the map in the background is absolutely not the ambience of the labyrinth. It's just there as filler. I don't know what that means. It's supposed to be like a little... Yeah, I don't know what that means. Or what they're trying to say here, but... Alright. In the case of a 2-player run, if one disconnects and the other player continues to advance alone, they will no longer be able to carry on together after that. Here's a concrete example. Theros and Fadu start a run together. Theros gets frustrated and abandons. He just rage quits. He can't take it. He wants out of the labyrinth. Fadu, by disconnecting. So yeah, Theros, he rage quits. Fadu continues exploring the current depths. They can carry on with a hero or psychic, but now with another player. So it's good to know that you're not really locked into like your composition at the beginning. Theros calms down and logs back in. Progress from the run with Fadu was safe up to the logout, but the 2 players are no longer together and each will have to continue alone. The labyrinth instance was split into 2. So yeah, you could get left behind. Which, it makes sense. It makes sense, right? If Fadu had decided to wait for Theros to come back without changing rooms, they could have carried on together. At the end of the depths, Fadu can meet Gogo, and the 2 can team up for the next depths if both have reached the same stage progression. So it's kind of similar to like Incession Island, right? Where like you could start Incession with a group, and maybe like down the line, the group gets disbanded, but if you catch anybody on the way, it's like, oh, you could join us. Okay, yeah, makes sense. Pretty straightforward, pretty obvious. Extraction. If you stumble into trouble, you can also decide to leave the current run with the rewards you've collected during it. To do so, you'll need to find a specific room with a bit of luck to get out or finish. Read, defeat its keeper, the current depths. Yeah, so they did talk about, or they did mention where like you will have points where like you could pretty much cash out. Let me zoom in here a little bit more. You could cash out and leave with like your loot, right? Or you just keep going, risking to keep going. Indeed, after the end of each depth, you'll be given a choice. You can continue the run for the depth with the same partner, continue the run alone, or with a new player who is also at the same depth. Stop the current run and leave with your rewards. Pretty straightforward so far. There's a twist to the Labyrinth. There's a little twist to exploring, discovery, and surviving all these steps. Just a wee little one. Uh-oh, what is it? You won't be able to use your regular equipment, and you will only have a small handful of your usual spells. I think I called this when Risen and I were talking about, we did a live during the Ankama Show Time. I called this out where like the whole point of the rogue thing is like you start with just a basic attack, right? So they're kind of leaning into that here too as well. And then you get the farther you go into like the rogue like levels, the stronger you get. But also the enemies get tougher too. So to advance in the Labyrinth and go as far as possible, it'll be on you to explore the various rooms, fight monsters and keepers, find merchants, etc. to collect new kinds of spells, equipments, and consumables. There will be multitude of such items to ensure sufficient replay value and offer players as many choices and decisions as possible for each run. And we get a little preview here of these. Oh, look at this! Is so cool. I wish Touch would do more like original like art assets and more like original items and stuff like that. This is so cool. They look cool. Shoot, I want to like 3D print one now. Cubes. These are the equivalent of equipment and will provide players with permanent stats during each run. These cubes. Yeah, okay, they look like cubes. Beverages. These items provide stat bonuses, but with a limited number of uses. Trinkets. These items have passive effects that trigger start of fight effects, immediate effects, or long-lasting effects. Spells. These items can be equipped to unlock the use of brand new spells. Yeah, I think I caught all this. This makes perfect sense. I think they were going about this the right way. I mean, they're really encompassing, and they're really trying to capture the spirit of roguelikes, this is the whole point, right? You build your character as you go through the labyrinth. The use and equip of all these items, the inventory will be adapted while you are in the labyrinth. Here's an illustration showing progress on this topic. So you have this cube here, and then depending how the rows you get on equipment, stuff like that, you level up your stats. You got different. Even here, these little tabs over here are unique to this whole game mode too. Super cool. So so far I'm on board. This is cool. This is exciting. Once collected, these items, spells can only be used for the current run. They cannot be used outside the labyrinth. They will be the subject of a specific, more detailed devlog in the coming weeks. We will have a lot to show you and explain about our decisions, among other things. Why limit it to level 2? All right, so this was a big topic of discussion when I was with Risen covering the live and it revealed all this stuff. Let's see what they got to say here, and then I'll comment in between here. That's a legitimate question, and one we've asked ourselves. Oh, did they watch our video? I don't know. Definitely the French community is a lot more active when it comes to the Labyrinth than the English community. Since the Ankama Show Time live event happened, they made Discords for each of the communities, French, Spanish and English. The French one has been like active nonstop ever since. So I don't know if this is something they're asking themselves there or just crazy challenger just posting the question, but we'll see. Given that players' equipment doesn't count and only a small handful of spells will be available, some of us felt like we were wasting potential and keeping out too many people. Yeah, so this was one of my points. We're like they're investing 2 years worth of time, right? That only a few people are going to be able to experience. Few meaning, this is gate kept behind the level 200 barrier, right? But let's keep going. However, first of all, the very, very vast majority of players in the after community are already level 200. And one of our main goals is to work to keep them. In short, treat them as well as we can. We have already spent several updates on acquiring and retaining new players in recent years. Umbera, Astra, etc. I partially agree, partially disagree. It's good to make content for level 200 people. It's good to keep those guys busy. It's good to cater to those guys. But also, you're investing so much time onto this, right? I guess it's what's that saying? Is the squeeze worth the juice or something like that, right? Second of all, if you figured it out, the Labyrinth is a game within the game. Low or mid-level players already have a lot to learn. The low or mid-level players already have a lot to do to learn the ways of the World of the 12 and its many mechanics. We do not want these players to get lost in the feature that offers even more atypical and niche elements. Another major point is balancing the feature. Balancing for one level band is not at all the same kettle of fish as balancing for multi-level offerings. Finally, let's look at one last major point, which particularly overlaps with the previous point. The rewards offered by the Labyrinth. We'll be upfront about it. We aren't going to talk about them in detail today. We have to wait for the next devlog, which we'll try to get to you as soon as possible. What we want to say here is that it is much more appropriate and practical, we admit, even if this isn't our main reason to offer exotic rewards to experienced players, some of whom already have hundreds of thousands of hours in the game, and who have already done all the optimizing they want with the elements currently available to them in the game. That brings us to the end of the devlog on the Labyrinth. Thank you. Okay. I get their points. I get their perspective. I still think that this should have been open. This should have just been a standalone game mode, accessible to anybody. It sounds like it's like 80% there, minus the rewards, right? Like how do you reward somebody who just plays to run the Labyrinth, right? They figured it out at such an island, right? You could drop different tiers of orbs. You can make different tiers of equipment. Again, they've been working on this for 2 years. They could have figured this out. But my thing is, bro, you could have used this new game mode as a new way to promote the game, as a marketing point for people. Just imagine this. You make this awesome game mode. You spend 2 years on it. You put a lot of resources, right? Put a lot of blood, sweat, and tears. From what I read, it's pretty well designed. It's pretty well thought out, right? You finish it. You make a really awesome trailer for it. A badass trailer, not some boring ass weird crap, right? You make a badass trailer featuring the Labyrinth with the message, hey, come check out DOFUS Touch. Come check out this new game mode. Come play it today. Why? Because you don't have to worry about being gate kept at level 200. You could just jump in and play. I think if they would have designed this as a jump in and play game mode, it would have been amazing not only for the game, for the community, for bringing in new people. And again, the whole point of a roguelite is self-contained, right? Part of it is skilled, part of it is luck-based. But part of the roguelite is jump in and play. That's the whole point. Jump in and play. You get as far as you can. You learn. Okay, next run, you get a little bit farther. Next run, you get a little bit farther, right? So there's nothing exclusive that this needs to be level 200. If you do want to reward level 200 characters, make the rewards geared to level 200 people, right? They figured it out during Ascension Island. Just have different tiers and stuff like that. But I think this would have been an awesome way to give a new second wind to like the branding and the marketing and to the outreach of this game as a second kind of revamp or so, right? This would have been a good marketing point, a good branding opportunity to like, hey, yo, the people who played PC DOFUS, you might want to check this game mode out, right? Am I just crazy talking? I don't know. I see where they're coming from. But my whole thing, right? I know I criticize the game, I rant and stuff like that. But my whole thing is when you're making a game like this, right? Your goal when it comes to these updates and every decision you make for the game, you should ask yourself two questions. Is this fun? And how is this going to expand the player base? Right? They got half of it right. This sounds really fun. This sounds really cool. I can't wait to read more. I can't wait to check out the devlogs. But I personally, and this is just my opinion, guys. This should have just been a standalone game mode where people could just jump in and play regardless of the level. I get their points where like, oh, players are let's see where they said it. Low or mid-level players already have a lot to learn in the ways of the world itself. Yeah, but this wouldn't be something you throw at them, right? This is something that would they might see somebody play on stream. They might see somebody play on a video. It's like, oh, that looks super cool. Let me check this out, right? And then kind of entice those people who are curious about the game. You could just jump in here, right, and check out the game from this perspective. Because again, you're starting from scratch. You're starting with what do you say? You're no equipment. You start with like 3 or 4 spells. That's about it. Like, it's not that complicated. That you're ostracizing like new players. Like, this sounds really cool. This sounds cooler than the actual game, where you actually have to like learn a bunch of things. You have to grind professions, how to make commas. You have to go cut 20,000 trees. You have to craft 50,000 things to level up your. This sounds more fun than the actual game. Like, if I were to try to convince somebody to play DOFUS Touch, this would have been it. The Labyrinth. Yo, yeah, check out DOFUS Touch, dude. It's got this roguelike game mode. You know, check it out. Download it. Check it out. You might like it. If you like it, you know, you become a fan of the game because you have this whole huge game you can explore. But I think, and I said this with Risen 2, I think this should have been opened. Open if you're level 200. You know, if you're level 200, you're definitely more experienced, which kind of leads you to just naturally be able to navigate deeper into the labyrinth, right? That is the advantage of a level 200 player, not a character, but a player. A player has the knowledge, the intuition, the foresight of being able to navigate this better than somebody who's new, right? Somebody who's low level, what have you, right? But the whole point of roguelite is get as far as you can. That's it, right? But let me know if you guys agree or not. I know that was my little rant there. But again, I'm not telling it to change it and stuff like that. But my whole thing is like, let's get more people interested in the game. And this just sounds like a really cool opportunity and a cool place to do that. Just imagine, like, just make a cool trailer. DOFUS Touch, new gameplay mode. Download today. Check it out. Just jump in and play. Jump in and play. Don't worry about commas. Don't worry about leveling up. Don't worry about equipment. Don't worry about making friends. Because we got this new sidekick. You got sidekicks. You got what are the things called? Sidekicks. It's slipping my mind. Heroes, right? Just make your characters, jump in and play. This would have been so cool. It would have been an awesome way to sell the game to people. But that's just where I go when this is why they pay me the big bucks, folks. Just when you have this kind of foresight, right? You start to think about design differently. You start to think about like, how can we leverage this to put the game in a better position, right? And again, I'm not saying there's anything wrong that they're focusing on level 200 characters, but to use such a cool feature, to use such a thing they're spending so much time on, because level 200, yes, level 200 people are the people on the Discord. They're the one talking among each other, but most people are not level 200, right? And I've said this in Risen's, in our dual Risen stream, where like most people don't finish games. Most people don't reach endgame. If you don't believe me, go to Steam. Look at popular games your favorite games. Look at the achievements. Look at how many people unlocked the achievement you get by beating the game. It usually hovers around, for popular games, 50%. For not so popular games, it's probably around 40% in lore. Most people don't get this far into the game. So there's not a large enough player base to justify so much work being put. This is 2 years, guys. This is not like the raid fights where, like, I don't know how long those took, but those seem appropriate, right? The raid fights with Dark Vlad, the legendary weapons, right? This is a big piece of content that not a lot of people are going to be able to experience. And that's what saddens me. That's what gets me. Because this looks cool. This looks really cool. Like, I'm cool. I'm hype. I'm hype. I know I like to rant and, give the game a little bit of tough love, but I'm hyped for this. My only wish is, I do wish more people were to experience this, right? Because right now, you literally have to beat the game. And you know how long that takes, right? You need to grind your stuff to level 200. And, that takes months. Do we have any comments here? I know usually, let me see, what's our runtime? 33 minutes. This runs long. You know how it is, folks. Do we have any comments here in the forums? Let me see. I think we might have to switch over to no comments. See, this is what I'm talking about. Such a huge feature, and I'm seeing on Discord as of the recording of this video. It is January 29th, 7 p.m. at night. I'm looking at the English chat, and nobody's talking about the Labyrinth. I'm looking at the Labyrinth dedicated channel. The last post was December 19th. So that should tell you something, right? That should tell you something. We are going to switch over to the French. Go check out the comment over there. Come on, if it loads. Come on. Gateway timeout. What is this? Did they crash their site over there? You know what? Let me pause the video and then I'll jump over to the comments. Oh no, there we go. I just look at 28 comments over here. And of course, we are going to translate to. We're going to translate to. Come on. Dedale. Dedale, that's what it's called in English. Okay, there we go. Oh, what's going on over here? What's going on? Right in the middle of a recording. All right, let me pause. Be right back. All right, and we are back. First comment, too many constraints suck. Losing everything in case of defeat, impossible to regenerate your life, erosion, preserve. Do you really want to make the game mode so restrictive and not fun? Why waste all your good ideas? This mode is not appealing because it is too frustrating. Bro, this obviously this guy never played a roguelike, so no shade on him. No shade on him. But obviously constraints are the whole point of roguelites. Answer? Hello, the Daedalus inspired by roguelite genre, which explains the constraints mentioned. Yeah, okay, right on the nose. We are waiting for balances. Okay, this looks amazing. So excited to try this out. Awesome. Top, looking forward to discovering this. Thank you for your investment. However, it is not mentioned that we will be able to change the hero companion during the depths. I suppose that as for the partner, it would not be possible. Am I wrong? Thank you for the encouragement. Since the hero system is not available in game, some points will still need. Yeah, I would think because you could switch your party up as you go along, right? If somebody drops up, you find somebody along the way, you can add them to your. I would imagine you could switch up your heroes or your companions. I'm really looking forward to that. I can do it with the hero system, hypes me up even more. If I understood correctly, there would be consumables to find in rooms of Delilah's to recover health. There would be a whole bunch of things. Yeah. I think if you play rogue-like games, I used to play, I didn't play too many, but I did get into Spelunky, which is, a different type of game, just in general. It is more a platformer game, but I really got into it. And it's but if you have played a roguelite in the past, a lot of this stuff, like it's common practice within the genre. Very cool. Can't wait to test it, but can't help but wonder if actively working on this game isn't delaying the fusion, which is separately awaited. Yeah, the fusion has something to do with this. Yep, different team. Yeah, I would imagine it's more like programmers, or more, what are they called? Right? Because game designers are working on this. The other one's more technical stuff. Please make hero mode available. Okay. With the subscription with commas and not the premium at €10. Okay. Not related to the Labyrinth. Very cool. Have you allayed you have alleviated many of my fears about the Labyrinth? The project's so excited. Okay, it looks like people are hype. People are hype. I'm quite mixed. I found the concept really cool, especially the fact that it's reserved for level 200. Finally, something new for us. But the fact that we can advance with our spells and therefore not accomplish feats of strength or demonstrate our... See, and this is the kind of people they're kind of targeting, right? But which, again, there's nothing wrong with it, right? But these people don't grow the player base. It's cool to have a dedicated hardcore fan base, and it's cool to make content for them, but they're a dwindling player base, right? For every one of these guys, and I'm not throwing shade, like, if you're hardcore about DOFUS, bravo. But for every one of these guys, right, these hardcore players, there should be 2 new players are like newcomers, right? Because they got to replace these people. And that's just how MMO, live service games work. Trading card games, that's how it is, right? Like, constantly bringing in new people, right? It looks amazing. I have a few questions. Do you collect the cube? Okay, it's just questions over there. Can you explain exotic equipment? Again, just more mystery and stuff like that. Here's this guy back again. Replying, go put it on a DOFUS sauce. No loss of loot. Regeneration of life. I don't want to lose everything because of latency, quote bugs, crash, misclick. It's really crazy. Let's be able to heal after each fight. Keep the hero penalty. Frankly, it smells like pay to win. Like for the session. Yeah, I guess this guy just doesn't understand the genre. But like I said, everything seems very well designed. Very well thought out within the confines of the roguelite genre. I have no problems with them. Health not carrying over, erosion not carrying over. Like roguelites are literally like a boss rush mode. That's what they are. Again, it's a very old school in design. Like I remember playing like Mega Man does this. Like where like if you get to the last boss, right? After you beat all the levels, you go to the last boss, and the game literally throws a rush at you where you have to beat each boss back to back, and you don't recover anything. I find the visuals really promising. Okay, I'm not at all convinced by this feature. I don't know if it meets what the community is asking for. In any case, I never heard of a need that could resemble it. Huge project that would take up a lot of space in the roadmap to the detriment of other subjects. Yeah, and this is part of my point of contention as well. Like they're putting so much, 2 years, right? And that's given the fact that the dev team, shout out to the dev team, love you guys, but they're slow as snails. They are super slow. If there are interesting rewards, achievements, I would do them without conviction. Okay. Hello, first of all, thanks for this project development. I was super hyped by the maze, but after these spoilers, I'm quite disappointed. I saw in the maze an opportunity to significantly extend the lifespan of DOFUS Touch. Yes, again, this is another one of those hardcore guys, right? This is like these guys are like the hardcore of the hardcore of the hardcore. Yes, I'm at 12k success. Full optimization on the main character. Done. The tour of remains PvP. Optimization stuff, leveling. All right, this guy's done it all. This guy's done it all. But in this first announcement, useless stuff and limitations in the use of our character, as currently presented, I really have the impression that you are going to take a lot of time in the absence of other hot topics for something that would be abandoned very quickly when there was a real potential to make your old players stay much longer. Via theory crafting, FMS, leveling up, secondary characters, via hero mode, perfecting houses. And again, like a lot of these players, hardcore players, they're the people who find like this kind of stuff superfluous, right? The casualization, the accessibility stuff, in a way it's kind of gatekeeping. Which there's nothing wrong with it, right? Because like again, this guy's done everything, right? He's looking for more content, he's hungry for more stuff, like give me more stuff like that. I see where he's coming from. We're like, okay, like this is not for me, right? And that's okay, right? Because sometimes the game has to cater to other, right? Even though this game mode supposedly is catering to these kind of people, these people don't feel like this game was for them, especially this guy here, which is is something you have to juggle with as a game developer. But again, I always come back to my principle where like, okay, for every disgruntled guy, right? Because no matter what you do, no matter what the DOFUS testing, there's going to be people like this, right? Where they have a point of contention. But your job as a developer is for every one of guys like this, you have 2 guys that are hyped for this, right? And again, the whole point of a live service game is, how can we replace a dwindling player base, right? Because hardcore people are dwindling, right? They don't, hardcore people don't bring in other people to play the game, right? Casuals. That's why casuals is so important. That's why accessibility is so important. Stuff like that. I know I'm rambling here. If you're listening to this, drop a comment. But at the end of the day, right? For every guy who's disgruntled, for every person who feels like this content's not for me, you need to have 2 people who are hyped for this, right? And this seems that way. It seems that way, which is good news. I'm happy to see it. Okay, I'm convinced. I'm leaving DOFUS PC and arriving on Touch. Yo, shout out to Kiki Ku. What is it? Kiki Kikwa? Okay, it's double post, super hype. Okay. Cool, thanks. And that is it, folks. We're gonna wrap it up here. I'm like 90% on board. The only issue I have, my only point of criticism is I wish it was open to everybody. Because even think about it, right? You make this cool feature, this cool gameplay mode for level 200 characters. How do you advertise it? Right? You make a trailer for it. Oh, new Labyrinth feature. Look how awesome it is. Loot, roguelite, flashy keywords here and stuff like that. Replayability. How far can you get, right? Oh, you have to be level 200 to experience it. Sorry, guys. Right? So it's just, I feel like they are limiting themselves, but we'll see. We'll see. At the end of the day, I'm just a crazy guy, just rambling on. But I can't wait to learn more about it. Sounds cool. Sounds awesome. These little things look so cool. But all right, guys, that is the initial news we got on the Labyrinth. Super cool. Take care of yourself. Peace.